be reminded if I'm nervous chomping on my gum.
Well, this is the thing. You just press.
Breaker 19.
let's check. Are we on? Okay. Good to go? Well, welcome everyone. It is currently 6:33 as we're going to open our meeting. So I ask you to take seats. We're going to call to order. And at this time, well, that was not the way I was going to go with that. So maybe I'll get him on the way out. At this point, Councilman Brewer, since we are in our hopefully last meeting, would you lead us in prayer?
For bringing us the people here today who want to do good things for our community, and we ask for the wisdom that you have come through to us so that we can benefit our fellow neighbors. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Amen.
Thank you. You really stand, and I would ask at this point, Sherry London, will you lead us in the pledges? What? I didn't realize that. That is a pet peeve if there's ever a pet peeve. Good call. That confused me because I went right to where it was supposed to be.
I did too. I was like, wait.
All right. Yes. So before we begin today, I want to give a little bit of, takes a little privilege to explain what we're doing today in the process today. Today we will be we will be doing Robert's Rules of Order. We will be voting on all issues. In the past, we have been a workshop, which means I allow each one of you to talk whenever you needed to talk. Never been a problem. Today, I am going to ask for more order than I have ever asked. And in front of you today, you will have three colors. Yellow is to request to speak. That way I know that you want to speak and I can recognize you in order. And what I'm hoping to do is to write as we go so I get everyone accordingly in a time frame that's accurate. Now, we're going to be doing voting today, and we're going to be voting by color, and these cards, green will be a yay, and red will be an A, and we're going to vote all at once. The intent is so we're accurate and that we can get all the numbers. We're going to hold that vote for a minute so Ms. Hildreth can get all the votes, but that's important for the record. So these votes are counting. So also, anyone in the room, the quorum is expected. At first, I'm going to hold a decorum. I'll give you a warning if you get out of line and say, hey, we're not going to do that. If you continue to be out of order, I will ask you to leave. We are not doing this. Also, today we do have an audience. We did have the mayor. So I don't see him now, but he went in the back. But also, today, any questions we have Mr. Holla, our city attorney. Any questions, we are going to make sure that we adjust them accordingly so we can make sure that we make the right decision for the future of our city. So if there's anything that might be out of order or any concerns, I will confer to him and we'll use that as that privilege. All right? So with that, we will now go to public comments. This will be an opportunity, anyone in the audience that wants to address this commission today, before we vote, to have your 3 minutes. We ask you to respect our time because we do have a lot to go through. And I just want to make sure that we do hear you, though, as your appearance and your is important and your voice is important. So anyone in the audience, left to right, would like to speak. Anyone like to speak? Anyone like to speak? Anyone like to speak? All right, please come up. I think we can turn the mic on.
Done this once or twice.
All right.
Awesome.
Can you please say your name for the record?
Don Goodwin.
Okay.
And I'm at 1307 Sienna in Sonoma Verde.
All right. Welcome.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just number one, I didn't realize how big of a group it was, so thank you guys. You guys taking your time. This is all volunteer work and awesome. So thank you guys for putting your time into this. I actually took the time to read it and You guys have done a great job. So thank you guys for that. I just had some thoughts reading it, just more from the finance brain. I would really like to see something kind of limiting the city's ability to borrow. Something, I kind of sent an email and they said, what kind of numbers? And I don't know enough about the city's numbers to talk about that, but maybe a 10% of revenue type of thing that the debt service can't be beyond that. Just trying to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible and not kicking the can down to future generations of McLendon-Chisholm. So that was kind of the thing that I was really concerned about as far as debt. But also anything else, I know we're kind of far down the road here, so anything else we can do to encourage fiscal responsibility in the city and kind of limit the city financially. Love to chat more with you guys about it. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. Like I said, I know we're far in the process, so it's kind of late. But I appreciate all the work you guys have done. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, I will address the city attorney. On limiting the borrowers, the languages traditionally do not address that issue as bounding a council. Can you address anything on that issues when it comes to that in the charter?
Yeah, we would love to do it. That'd be fantastic. But we really can't, because you can't really limit a city's ability. It's like, oh, well, we need X amount of money. Oh, our charter says we can only borrow Y amount of money, so we can't really get this much needed thing, whatever it is, a lift station, pipes, that type of thing. They've got to be able to do what they need to do, and that would be potentially limiting future city councils on what they can't do. So, and to give you some encouragement, things like certificates of obligation have been, probably since 2015, have been very, 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 very contested issues. So what you can do is, okay, these are the things we're going to use them for. So we're not going to, whatever we use them for, it's kind of unabridged. We got to have the right to do whatever we need to do, no matter how much it is. But we don't have to say 74 things. We can limit it to 16 or whatever. So that's one thing that charters could do. Say a big example: certificates of obligation. Very, very briefly, they're kind of like this is not exact translation, but they're similar to bonds that you don't have to go to have a vote for, but they're for very specific public types of things, not just for anything. So they've really limited that over the last few years, the state legislature has, but we can still further limit them in the charter of the different things that we want. I mean, it's pretty limited to public infrastructure, public improvements, things like that. So we can, while the numbers we can't, the subjects and types, yes, we can. No, it's all, no, it's, well, those were a very, very hot topic for the legislature for a few years.
So, commissioners, as we begin and we get to that topic, if you want to look at that as we get to that process, you may consider that. All right? So, and thank you for being here. So, with that, is there anyone else that would like to speak? Anyone else like to speak? Anyone else like to speak? I am now going to close the public comment section, and we're now going to move to approval of minutes. So, at this time, we do have to vote on two sections. So, we have 4.1, which is the minutes for October 9th, 2024. Do I have a motion to accept? Yellow card.
Come on, can't pick up the paper.
Dennis Linden.
I make a motion or move that we accept the minutes.
We have a motion to accept the minutes by Dennis Linden. I saw Jody Wright have the second. Okay. All right. Very good. We have a motion and a second. All right. At this point, is there any other further discussion on the minutes? Leslie. All right. With that small correction in the minutes. Very good. Just for the record, Holly, you weren't recognized. All right. So, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and call for your vote. Red is no, green is yea. Motion, okay. You're going to have to go a little faster next time. All right. That was unanimous. All right. We're going to go to number 4.2, minutes for October 23rd, 2024 work session. Do I have a motion? Ms. Stibbins.
Motion to approve the minutes for the October 23rd work session.
We have a motion by Bev Simmons to approve. Do we have a second? Mr. Powers. Second. We have a second. All right, did I miss you?
No, I said second.
Okay, nope. I'm looking at there we go. All right. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Or green card, sorry. All right. That was unanimous. All right. We're now going to be moving into our home rule draft. And so before we begin, I want to, and Mr. Holla, I want to make sure that we're correct in doing this. What I would like to do is, I think it would be appropriate, is I think that we can consider it as all one document and pull it out as a section, as which section, and then those that are, we can do it as a consensus vote, and then the remainder will vote separately. Would that be acceptable? Yes. All right.
I've got some comments on that, and I didn't get to read all of it today, but as we reach different sections, just some thoughts.
Okay. At this point, since I'm going to go to the first comment section. We're going to first discuss on Home Rule Charter draft, and I'm going to allow the attorney to make comments before we vote. So, Mr. Allah.
I just had, as you go by sections.
Okay, you'll bring things up. Very good. All right. We're going to go to number 6, discussion and approval of chapters individually inclusion. What I'm going to do is, as a whole, I'm going to allow a motion to accept, and then we'll do it as one vote, and then we'll pull out the others, if that makes sense, the motion. So a consensus. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask if there's anyone that would like to pull out for consideration, what they would like to pull out, or do you want me to go one by one and then we'll do it? Okay. So just at this point, put your yellow card up if you want that removed, and I'll take that as the consideration. 6.1, preamble. All right. I'm going to do it 3 times just to make sure that I give everyone consideration. 6.1, preamble. 6.1, preamble. 6.2, chapter 1, incorporation of boundaries. Incorporation of boundaries. 6.3, chapter 2, form of government and powers. Am I going too fast? All right, I'm going to slow down. We're going to pull chapter 2. 6.3 is the agenda item number? No, 6.3 chapter 2. The agenda item number is 6.3, and then pulling out. Sorry.
Cross-referencing.
Yep. All right. So chapter 2 will be pulled. All right. Chapter 6.4. Chapter 3, City Council. Pulled. 6.5, chapter 4, Senate. Yes.
Wait.
You have a discussion?
I have, yes. You wanted us to talk if we wanted to say something about that section, correct?
We're not there yet. We're not yet. What we're doing right now is pulling the ones for discussion. We're going to vote for the remainder of what we're not going to discuss. And then we're going to approve everything as consensus on things that we're not challenging. And then we're going to go back. So Mr. Howell, can you kind of explain, because you understand what I'm trying to go here, because maybe I'm not explaining it well?
I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to get out of the way the things that people don't really, are not going to disagree over. That way we get a big.
It's going to be basically a consent agenda, and we're going to approve basically I'll accept the motion to approve 6.1, 6.2, and those items. It's one vote.
Okay, but if we have a question about one of these, that's when we're
We're
supposed to
going to
raise
pull it
our-
out, correct.
Okay, I would like
Now.
section 3 pulled
Just to
out.
pull it out, and we're going to discuss it.
Does yellow mean pulled out?
Yes. Yes,
So we just
yes
raise-
means
we
pull
just
it out.
raise our yellow and you're gonna pull it out?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yep. I just need one person to say pull it out.
He's just going through the list on the agenda of every item that's there. And if nobody has any questions on it, you move down to the next one.
I'm
Somebody's
trying to
gonna
make
wanna
this go
discuss it
fast.
Later, you pull that out.
I tried really hard to make it simple.
That wasn't in my Wheatie box.
Ms. Wright. Sure. Correct. So far, the only, chapter 2, form of government has been pulled. Chapter 3, city council has been pulled. We have not addressed 6.5, city manager. And apparently I'm starting to lose my voice. Okay, do you want to pull chapter 1? Oh, 6.2 will not be pulled. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. 6.5, chapter 4, city manager. All right, pulled. Chapter 5, city secretary. 6.6. Okay. 6.7, chapter 6, municipal court. Okay. Chapter 6.8, city attorney. You can raise your hand on that one, Mr. Allah.
Well, I did, 'cause I didn't see my name. So I was wondering about it.
Anyone on city attorney? Okay. 6.9, chapter 8, city department fiscal administration. Okay, so that would be, okay. All right. 6.10, boards and commissions. Okay. 6.11, chapter 10, ordinances. Okay. 6.12, chapter 11, elections.
I have a couple suggestions on that.
Okay. 6.13. Okay. 6.14, 13 franchises. Okay. 6.15, chapter 14, general transitional provisions. Okay, that can, so at that point. And then chapter 15, adoption of charter. All right. What's that? Go ahead. So right now, we're not approving anything yet. What I was going to do is ask if anyone has a motion to approve 6.1 preamble, 6.14, or sorry, 6.15, chapter 14, general transitional provisions, and 6.16, chapter 15, adoption charter. I think by seeing us having all this up, Ms. Wright. Okay. Yeah, it got pulled. It's pulled out. Okay. Well, what I think we're going to do and do, because it's just going to be easier at the light we have, I'm just going to go through each one and just allow us to discuss it. It's easier that way. I meant to make it easier because I thought there wasn't going to be much, but listen, it looks like at this point, let's just do the right thing and go through each one. So I'm going to go ahead and begin with 6.1, preamble. Do I have a motion to approve the preamble? Mr. Powers?
I make a motion that we approve the preamble as written.
Okay. All right. And then do I have a second? Jody Wright. All right. We have a motion and a second by Jody Wright. Any discussion? All right. I call for your vote. Passes unanimously. Move to 6.2, Chapter 1, Incorporation and Boundaries. Mrs. Sorio? Am I missing you? All right, sorry.
Oh,
We'll get, go ahead, Mrs. Sorio.
I just had one
I don't have a motion yet.
Oh,
I'm calling for a motion. Mr. London?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept Chapter 1, Boundaries and Incorporations as written.
Okay. And do I have a second? Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and Mr. Adcox, I did see yours first.
Motion to second.
Okay, second. All right, we have a motion and a second. At this point, we have a discussion. Mrs. Sorio.
yes. Section 101 incorporation, I had a suggestion to change from inhabitants to citizens. That is just technical. And also after, with such powers, comma, rights, needs a comma, duties, comma, that's a typographical.
Okay.
The typo? Which line? Yeah, at the bottom. Right here, with such powers, rights, there should be a comma and duties. Privileges, is mine different? Yes. Oh, is it in there already?
It's in under draft. Are you looking at the draft version?
No, I sent the one you sent me, but they should be the same, no? You said it would be the one we're voting on.
This is a copy that I would have you look at.
I'm already drawn on this one.
Okay. So it looks like we do have, so are you making a motion to amend?
Yes, I'm making a motion to amend the wording from inhabitants to citizens,
Okay.
if so approved.
All right. So from inhabitants to citizens. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second on the amendment. Ms. Stibbins.
Are you suggesting we change the inhabitants through this entire section 1 to say citizens because it's in other places also?
If that's necessary?
I mean, if you want continuity, you've got inhabitants and citizens spread through this entire chapter 1. So if you want it one way or the other, just say make the change for all of them.
Just, yes.
Okay.
That is up to
Okay.
everyone to decide.
All right. So at this point, Mr. London, would you accept a friendly amendment or
We're still in discussion, correct?
correct?
So in section 1.03, section C, the second sentence says, "The inhabitants of the annexed territory shall be entitled to all privilege or rights and privileges of all citizens." If we change all of the instances of inhabitants, that means that citizens will have the rights of citizens.
That's true, I don't know that it would apply. May I speak?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this,
Just,
I don't know if it would
but give me 1 second. Mr. Powers. Oh, thank goodness for caps.
Not everybody who's within the city limits is a citizen. So do these things not apply to people who are sojourning through, staying temporarily, may not be citizens of the United States, may not be citizens of McLendon-Chisholm, but the rights that apply to the citizens absent voting, would they not apply to them as well?
That's going to be a question I'm going to ask our attorney.
So I want to make sure I understand the question. You're asking if people that are transient going through, they have the same rights as citizens? wouldn't have the same rights as citizens.
All right, that's right.
Well, the point of the annexation part, they're not residents yet.
No.
That's the whole point is annexation. They're just inhabitants of an area. They do inhabit that area, which is why they use the phrase inhabitant. Now, as soon as they're annexed in, then they become citizens / residents, however you want to say it.
Mrs. Sario.
That's what I was gonna say, Dennis, is wasn't certain that it applied to that section because they are inhabitants until they're citizens. The, annexation section. But I have noticed, if I may continue, in many of the other charters that they do say citizens rather than inhabitants. It's not my new idea.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? So we have a motion to amend. Do we have a second? We do have a second on the amendment. So at this point, to change the, Ms. Stevens.
Can I make a comment first?
Yes.
If you actually read that first paragraph, it talks about, it's talking about what may exist in the future, what exists now, what may exist in the future. So does the inhabitant word belong in that very first sentence? And then down in 1.03 section C, where it talks about inhabitants of the annexed territory and the privileges of all citizens, because the boundaries have already been established. Where in that first one, I think we're back to inhabitants is correct because it could be areas that haven't been brought into the city boundary yet. So I think that first one should stay inhabitants, and the citizen word comes into play later when it actually talks about the established boundaries.
Ms. Wright. And again, I think that Mr. Holla answered that, why it would be important to have inhabitants versus resident at that point. Correct. All right. And I think the issue at hand is we do have an amendment for changing all language to citizen. So at this time, we do have an amendment on that. So all those in favor of changing language, or we're going to vote, and green is in favor, red is against. I'm going to call for your vote. Red is in favor, red is against the amendment. All right, that amendment fails. Now, at this time, there can be any other amendments or any other discussion. Any other amendments? Any other discussion on this topic?
I just have a question, I guess. Because that failed, the addition of the comma also failed then. So my question is, though, do we need to be fixing typos as we go through?
So
or is that...
I will correct that any language should be gone through the attorney to make sure that those corrections are made correct, Mr. Holla?
So we don't need a motion for every typo?
Not every typo.
And that's
Well, you
okay.
can make it clear, and we'll keep that in notes. Substantive changes is what we're looking at.
That's what I assumed. I just
Very
wanted to
good.
make sure. Thank you.
Any questions on that? All right. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? I call for your vote to approve the section. Seeing votes are unanimous. All right. Okay, moving to 6.3, Chapter 2, Form of Government and Powers. Do I have a motion to approve? Tony?
I'll make a motion that we approve chapter 2 as it is.
We have a motion to approve. Tony? We have a second.
I second the
All right.
motion.
We have a second by Mr. London. At this time, discussion is now open. Ms. Wright, saw you first, and then Jen, I'll see you second. Yep.
I'm sorry. Under 2.02, powers of the city, number 9. I'd like to get further clarity. This says to have the exclusive right to erect, own, maintain, and operate a waterworks and sanitary system. I'd like clarity on what the exclusivity part is.
Okay. Mr. Hollow.
What I would say the exclusivity part is, so you've got CCNs for water and CCNs for sewer. I know this is going to shock everybody here, but many cities our size, glad you're all sitting down, run their own water and run their own sewer, okay? And so they've got it, the PUC basically says your city limits for a city is your de facto CCN. So you don't need to actually go out and file it with them, with the meets and bounds and all that kind of stuff. So what you don't want as a city, you don't want other people, if that's what you're doing, we're obviously not, but if that's what you were doing, you wouldn't want to let other people, other entities come in and kind of, you're protecting your turf, basically, is what that is. You don't want anybody else coming in and doing anything else and servicing your citizens and, doing things like that on your watch. That's what that is.
And my understanding of that, the CCNs that are current don't get impacted. The exclusive right of that decision still falls back to the city. If there's an existing CCN care, like Rockwell has other providers, but the rights of the city and the water decisions still lay upon the city.
They trump, basically.
Right. Yeah. But the CCNs are the one that manage. And there are other. You have a question?
So basically that's saying if we ever want it, no one else can serve water or sewer in our city limits but us. Again, that's what many cities do, and it doesn't mean that we have to do it. We're not doing it.
And it doesn't trump the current CCNs.
Huh?
And it doesn't currently, the CCNs that are active are active. We still have to go through the process to acquire. Ms. Wright.
The language doesn't specify that it does not preclude the current CCNs.
Mr. Hall.
It doesn't need to, because the PUC has come out, they say, hey, look, your city limits is de facto, just means as a matter of fact. There may be no law passed, but that's de facto just means as a matter of fact, your a city's CCN is their boundaries, is their city limits. So they have the exclusive right, if they ever want to, they have the exclusive right to serve water and sewer inside their city limits, no matter what any other CCN says.
Ms. Wright.
So if we played that out and assuming, taking anything that any of us currently know, when this goes to election in May, if this passed as this, and this now becomes the de facto CCN for our city, if we're adopting.
No, that's incorrect.
Already, right now, if we were able to, and I'm just telling you, most cities, the majority of cities that have 6,500 people in them do their own water and sewer. That's just a fact in Texas, okay? And what the law is your city limits is your CCN. It doesn't matter if you've got a home rule charter or not, your city limits is your CCN. So you have the exclusive right, if you choose and are able, you have the exclusive right to serve water and sewer inside your city limits. You do not have to, because obviously we don't. You don't have to, but if you ever have the ability and the desire, that's what it is.
Ms. Wright.
So thank you. I'm not trying to belabor the point. There's a lot of language with this, and I want to make sure I'm understanding it. So, assuming in May our charter passes, and let's say it stays as it's written, as it is right now. If in the month of May, the city of McLendon-Chisholm were to present and say, we now are able to provide our own water, which again, barring discussions, but just assume that were the case, that would then default, we would go with what the city is now saying they can provide, and that would eliminate getting water from other sources if we had that option.
No.
We have, hold on, we have that option now. If the city council
If the
wanted
city
to, if
could.
they could provide water and sewer,
Right.
the charter is totally irrelevant to that.
Correct.
If that helps. That
Yes.
could happen right now, so whether or not you pass a charter is not,
Basically, it just codifies the simple language that it basically codifies that issue. And again, CCNs, there are municipal requirements to acquire CCNs and everything else, and that process. The charter doesn't address that issue. All right, state law
right.
handles that. Mr. Dean.
I think what you're trying to get across is very important, because we want this to pass in May.
Thank you.
And if the average McLendon-Chisholm citizen read that, they would think, what the heck is going on here? And I understand all the CC, but they don't. That's all I'm saying is, I would be in favor of putting something in there that kind of, I guess, kind of eases their I just think we want to get it passed.
Tony?
That we, from my understanding, we're going to have town hall meetings, we're going to educate the public.
That's correct.
Here. It will be up to us, or be up to that point, to make sure they understand it that way. What we're doing here, what I'm seeing here, and what I'm getting from it is we're making plans for the future. We're not going to tie down a city council, because of language, because of what we're afraid of what our current status is right now. So that's just my thought, is that since we're doing the town halls, that it would just be up to us to educate them on every bit of the charter to make sure they understand it. But I see the point, though. I mean, I do understand it.
And again, I'm going to remind you that it is going to be our duty it's going to be part of our job to make sure that we educate, and also, so that our job isn't going to be done. This is our big job, but our job still continues. And when people come to ask you these questions, that will be our job to inform. All right, Ms. Hildreth, I saw you.
I just want to be clear, just because I may not be getting it. Okay. So the CCNs are already in place for the city of McLendon-Chisholm.
Okay, so a CCN, no, look, it's very complicated. Okay, the PUC hasn't even figured it out. So please don't think you're asking a bad question at all. It's ridiculous. It's almost like they go out of their way to make it complicated. Okay, so a CCN is a certificate of convenience and necessity. It is actually a descriptive in metes and bounds that's filed with the PUC. And so it gets a certain geographic area, and whoever it is says, hey, look, PUC, I want to serve water or sewer, whatever one it is, but I want to serve one of these in this geographic area. The PUC does their thing, sends it through 87 boards and commissions, and goes through all this kind of stuff, and they approve it. So that entity, whoever made the application, they've got the exclusive right, which they protect themselves. I mean, if you run a business, you don't want competition. So you've got the exclusive right in that defined area to do water or sewer, whatever it is. When it comes to cities, and it doesn't matter if you're home rule, general law, whatever, the PUC says, hey, I don't care if they file anything with us, a city's boundaries, their city limits, acts as that city's CCN. So if the city ever decides that they want to have exclusive water or sewer service inside their city limits, they don't need to make an application to PUC. They've got their city limits. That's what the PUC has said. Does that help? Okay.
Okay. Leslie?
So I actually have a question about this process, not about this specific item. Can I ask it?
Yeah.
So we go to the public, we do town halls, we get public feedback, we get public comments. Is there an opportunity to address them and possibly edit? I mean, if say for this issue, if it's clear coming out of the town halls that this could cost us the vote or whatever, do we reconvene and vote to amend it at that time?
Here's the thing. You can do almost anything as long as it's on the agenda. We can set it up, not just a town hall, we could have a we label it citywide discussion on the agenda between the Home Rule Charter Commission and the public regarding, and then exactly the way you got it on the agenda now. And then there can actually be an open discourse and discussion. It's just simply got to be on the agenda that way. So, yeah, in answer to your question, we don't even need to wait, hear it, come back, address it, and go back. No, we can talk about it all at once.
Okay, so what we're voting on tonight, our intent is that it's what's on the ballot in May, but we have opportunities to change it if we want to.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, that's a great question. I hope if you get feedback and you have 91 people that show up and they go, hey, this section here in 18-11, it sucks. And 87 people agree, hey, you know what? 87 out of 91 says that, or 88, because 88 out of 91 says it sucks. We may ought to consider changing that. I would hope you didn't have to, but okay. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Mr. London?
So the CCN, everything gets approved. We have our limits, but PUC has to grant us the authority. We would have to have the ability to receive. We would have to prove that we have all of the capabilities and everything associated before PUC or TCEQ would even consider allowing this to move forward past just the words. We can have the words in here and have this written for our authority that we have the exclusive right. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Halla, but right.
I'm simply talking about the right. What Mr. London is talking about is the ability, and I don't disagree with you.
Does that make sense?
Would it help to put in, according to law, according to current law, some language in here amending this to sort of just address that it's nothing outside of the law, or?
I mean, you could add something there, a prepositional phrase like in accordance with law, something like that. I mean, I don't think that's a problem.
I'm wondering if the attorney is recommending that we accept the language of item 9 as written. The one we're talking about right here, yes, sir. Are you recommending to us, based on your expertise, that we leave the language as written?
I don't have a problem with the language as written. It doesn't let us do anything after it's passed that we can't do now. Now, what Montreal said, the ability is completely different. The rights are still the same, and the ability, we don't have the ability now, and we may not have the ability after the Home Rule Charter. So
it's your recommendation to leave the language as it is?
It's up to y'all if you want to change it from a legal standpoint. I have no issues with the language now.
Okay, I'm not sure I'm understanding what the confusion, what the issue is. Because you were saying that if the language, that could cause it not to pass. Is it the word exclusive? Do you think people are going to think that we have to do that? We now have to do that? Because this is there? That McLendon has to take care of the water and the sewer? Is that is that the way you're looking at it? Maybe we just need to take out the word exclusive.
Example, and Mr. Hall, help me out if I don't. There's another example of exclusive right, public safety. The exclusive right to your public safety is the police department. Is exclusive right to public safety is the municipality. You can contract and you can use other law enforcement such as the sheriff, but the exclusive right to protect the city typically falls under the city. How they provide that safety, by contract or by agreements, that interlocal agreements, is up between the two parties. That would be the other example.
To build on that,
yeah.
I do want to leave exclusive in there. For example, would y'all be comfortable with HOAs hiring private security forces that patrol the city that work for them? I mean, Probably not if we've got 16 little private security forces made up of, 6 or 7 highly trained Green Berets, Rangers, Navy SEALs, whatever, that patrol it and just answer to those 6 or 7 groups. That probably wouldn't be the best. Say, like what Chairman is saying, the police force, if we had one, the police force would be the one that would have the exclusive right to govern that. All you're doing with the word exclusive is protecting yourself. So if in the future, if you're going to run a water business, you're going to run a water business. You don't want people coming in and stealing customers or anything like that. You want the city to be the one that runs the water, has the water, charges the water, sets the rates, do all that kind of thing. You don't want 14 people in here servicing water, and you've got 14 groups of citizens that are answering to 14 different people on the water rates. So you do want to make it exclusive, if that helps. Right. Oh.
So maybe the compromise is to, you would need to have the exclusive right to erect, own, maintain, contract. So own or contract, maintain and operate. To add out the.
I think you've already got that, but I don't have a problem with adding that in there.
Because you can contract it out, right? Because then that's verbiage for the town hall that you can say, but it also says that there's, I don't know.
I think contracting would be part of maintaining it. How you maintain it as a city, if you want to hire somebody to run, and there are a few cities. I did help one city do a contract where they sold their water to a private entity for $9.2 million. And they were tired of being in the water business, and they sold it, and they obviously paid it off either a month or a year. Before that contract was final, they had a contract with that same company to maintain the water system. So I think contracting someone to do that is under maintaining. But I think your question is a good one, and it's legit, but I think it's covered by maintaining. That's just how you want to choose to maintain it. If you want to contract out, that's fine. So it's a good question, but I think it's covered.
Like this, we have to, sorry. Is this on? Yeah. If we leave it like this, we have to add something. Just, can I give an example? It'll make it easy.
Mr. Howell, you want to, okay, so I'll reiterate, Roberta, basically what she was saying is the contracts, that it would be someone that would be out of the area, such as another municipality, and the control. The issue with that is what this is the exclusive right of all controls and decisions of the water rights come back to the city. What you're talking about is different in the matter, all right? And again, that provision in that communication. The other thing that I would address to that is when at a period when municipalities could annex